Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my very first Flutter app tutorial. In this session, we will be building a simple Flutter app that is an EMI calculator like the one you see now. Okay, first thing, what is Flutter? Okay, let's get straight over to the Flutter documentation. Okay, Flutter is Google's answer to build a beautiful native apps in record time. Remember the keywords here, beautiful native apps, right? So which means you can craft a high quality native apps for both iOS and Android, which is a good thing. Okay, let's set up Flutter. To do that, head over to the get started documentation and you will get all the flavors to install your Flutter in your favorite operating system. Well, actually I already got Flutter installed, so let's just close this out and then go ahead and create our first app, which is Flutter create EMI Cal C. This will take quite a bit of time. Oh, okay, so it's Flutter create EMI Cal C. Will take quite a bit of time. So EMI Cal C is installed, and then you can just navigate to cd EMI Cal C and then Flutter run to actually run your first app. So the Flutter create command which we issued will create a basic default app in your simulator. Right, once that's done, I've set up the simulator for iOS. I'm not yet done with the Android. So the create command, by default, the Flutter gives you this neat little counter app. Okay, so it'll be served as a first step for us to understand what a Flutter is. But let's quit this and head over to our app building process. We are in our EMI Cal C app. We can just open up our Visual Studio Code. From there, we can run our Flutter app anytime, which will shoot up to the simulator here. So let's open up the terminal as well. Now, if you notice, you have a bunch of folder structure, but the main thing we need to concentrate is the lib folder, which is right over here. So everything here, everything in Flutter comes. The main entry point of Flutter is main dot. Okay, if you notice, this is the actual program, actual code that executed this, the counter thing. This is the actual code that executed the counter application. So it has the most important thing, the run app. We'll be discussing more about that. So let's just get rid of everything now and then move on to building our app. We don't need this for now. Let's just Control A and then delete everything. Okay, so let's start building our app. First thing first, we need to import our package, which is material.package. The green squiggly line means you have not yet used your material package. And then next thing is void main. The main entry point of program is void main. Inside our void main, we can route this to a method called run app. Okay, so what's a run app? The run app function takes the given widget. Everything in Flutter is a widget. Okay, so if you notice, everything, including the app bar, your body, your main scaffolding, everything is a widget. You should see this in a widget perspective. Okay, so even the column is a widget, row is a widget. So the run app takes the first widget as a material app, not just the first widget, because we are building a material based app. So we'll be using a material app as our first widget. Material app. And then we will be passing on some information like title, EMI Cal C. Okay, the material app takes in the title property, and let's set the theme for our app. theme is the basically the color scheme that you'll be using in your app. In this case, we can set the primary color, we can set the accent color. So the theme data takes in these many sets of properties where you can customize your app to show up the color that you require. So I will set the primary color to colors.red accent, which I kind of like. You can pretty much choose whatever color you like. And accent color will be again the colors of red accent. I don't know, I liked it, so I just stick with these colors for now. In the more advanced setup, you can set many different colors, like for the button color, the brightness, and even the dark. There are dark themes available for this. So let's not concentrate on this. Let's move on to the next bit. The next one is, let's set the first execution point. We need to set a home for this. Before that, we need to create a class, stateful widget class. A stateful widget and a stateless widget. There are two main important concepts in Flutter. One is the stateless, and the other one is the stateless and stateful widget, which is basically telling that in a stateless, your widget won't have a change, will not render, but whereas in a stateful widget, your widget will have a changes. It will render onto your screen depending on the behavior of a user. So if there is a counter, your counter will increment. Let's say your counter will increment and your incrementation value will change. This is based on the user behavior. So that can be handled through stateful widget. So let's just create a stateful widget, because we will be having quite a lot of changes, which is primarily like we will be entering our text field, entering our text, and then getting the values, calculate them, and then show them in our as a result for the EMI. Okay, so let's just call this EMI widget or EMI screen. That will be apt, or to be more generic, we can go for home screen. Yes. Okay. So once you set the stateful widget, it will create a class called home screen, and then it will create a state for your home screen. And again, you will have a main class called, this will be called upon into another class called home screen state, wherein you will be setting the state of your stateful widget. And then the most important part is this widget will return a container, which is again a widget. Okay, on every class, a widget class, you will have a build method and a build context defined into it. Build context basically means the location of your widget, and this will be useful. It's a kind of a very important thing on every widget that you build. And in this context will be useful if you're going to work on the more advanced concept like inherited widgets and getting the theme set into your widgets, okay, child widgets. So let's not get in depth into this part for now. Let's go ahead and work on this and see how this came up. So now, once we've done that, we need to add this home screen into our home. Right, now let's build the Flutter app. Sorry, let's run it. Flutter run. Okay, looks like our app is running, and then we have a blank container. Right, so before we proceed, I believe we need to look into the kind of app that we are building. Okay, so we'll be building a simple EMI calculator and understand how so far we've done that. Okay, so this is the overall app look and feel that we will be building. It will contain a text containers, like 3 text containers, which will take in the numbers as their parameters and as their values. So basically, for calculating the amortization data, we need principal amount, interest rate, and the tenure. And we also have one more additional feature called the tenure type, which is how many will it be in years or will it be in months. And also when you click on them, it will change according to the calculation will be picked based on the events that you click here. And finally, the calculate button, once you've done that, it will grab all those information from this text fields and then show you the final result over here. So to visualize that, we will be building our app bar first and then moving on to a centered body layout, and afterwards we'll be using a column widgets wherein you will be adding the text container widgets like the principal amount, interest rate, tenures, and the tenure will have again a row widget wherein you will have a text field and then a years. The row widget will put your widgets side by side, whereas the column widgets will stack everything from the vertically. Okay, so everything is first organized as a column widget, and then inside this column widget you have one row in it. In that row widget you will have two widgets side by side, like the tenure and the number of years, which is the tenure type, and the entire container is held by the body including the app bar. So this is pretty much about the look and feel and the layout that we will be building. This is primarily to help us to visualize what exactly are we going to do. So let's get to the code and then start with our app building process. Okay, so in the home screen state, we don't need to return the container. Okay, so we need to start off with the scaffold. Scaffold is a widget, again it's defined in the material library. So in the scaffold, first let's create our app bar. We need our app bar to be a title of text. Text is again a widget, and then in the text we will be specifying our calculator, spelling typo, calculator, yes. So we will be telling our heading is EMI calculator, so that will be in the app bar. Let's just run this. Bingo, there we have it. So if you notice, we have a shadow, a kind of elevation here. We need to remove that. I don't like it. I like the flat app approach. You can literally choose whichever you like. So I never liked the kind of shadow bottom shadow effect. So I want to remove that elevation. For that we need to use elevation as 0, 0. Okay, so this will tell our elevation as 0, so you will have the flat app bar here. Okay, our app bar is done for now. Move on to a body. Now our body again takes up a widget. So like I said before, Flutter is basically widgets. Widgets makes the building blocks. It's just a different kind of widgets that makes up your app. And we need to center our body. Okay, so as we have seen here, our entire layout, our entire UI elements will be centered. To demonstrate that, I will add up our first widget. Like center takes in the child property, again a child widget, which is a container. Again, every widget takes up either a child or a children. For example, container takes up only one child, so we are using child as well as the center. But when it comes to column or row or column, they will take up as many widgets as possible. That's why the column will have children instead of child, plural. So first thing, we need to add the principal amount. So we need to add the principal amount. That would be, we'll put that inside a container so that we can give a spacing, padding, and a kind of box decoration to the containers that we are building. So let's just add a child of text field. Now in this text field will be decoration. Let's give a decoration of it as a input decoration class. We will mention the label text. No, we will give a hint text for now so that you will see the differentiation. Enter principal amount. Right, so go. Okay, our column layout takes up the position, and then we don't need to look like this, but we need to have something like this, like a floating label kind of. So when you click on it, you will have a label float on top of your values. So for that, we need to give it as label text, and then that's right. Just give it a hot reload. You got enter principal amount, and once you click it, it will just move on to that position. And now it just nudged in the corners of your screen viewport. We don't need that. We need to apply some padding, which will make it look a bit neat. Padding takes up edge insets as a class, and then let's apply a random padding. It can be any amount you may like. Yes, that looks good for now. And then let's add up another container. So we have one widget children. We need to add up for the interest as well. So let's copy that, and then text input decoration, we'll call them as interest rate. Let's see. Cool. So we have principal amount, interest rate, and then we should have tenure and a switch. That sounds like a bit complicated. Anyway, we can overcome that. So this one will be tenure. Okay, so if you notice, everything is perfectly stacked, but for the tenure, as you have seen in the layout, you will be having two widgets, tenure and tenure type, which is years or months. For that, we need to introduce a child inside our container, which is this. Instead of text field, okay, let's just let's just comment this text field for now. We need to introduce row, as I said before. So we will be having a row widget, and then children for the row. So we need to add tenure as one child and the tenure type as the other one, like you see here, to get the effect like this. Okay, so instead of adding a container, I will go ahead and use up the, okay, I will demonstrate this with the container. Okay, instead of container, there is a Flutter gives you another flexibility to use a flex box, because we need to have a flexible kind of row, so widget. We can stretch this tenure text field and then the years like so. So let's give it as flexible, and inside the flexible, it's a row and then a children flexible. Let's have our child as text field. Now technically we can just copy paste this for now, and then we can add the information later on for the controllers and things. Right. Okay, so this is a tenure. Like so. So let's add up our switch. So our switch widget, again, will have a flexible widget class. Now this will have a child. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, right? Again, this is row, and again we will have a column to display our number of display our ears and the switch. Okay, so this will be in a column layout. Now introduce our flex here, and we'll have a child of column, and in the child the first one will be, column will take up children. Okay, in the first one we will have a text, which is a tenure type. Obviously we will just use a placeholder for now, and then we can move on. Add up a variable style, text style of font weight, which would be font weight refresh that and see. Okay, let's style that up later on, but let's get the components widgets in the first place, and we will introduce our switch widget, which is again our switch will have, no, that's enough. Okay, so no, something wrong. We need a value for our switch, so value of false. Right, our switch doesn't work for now, but that's okay, we can fix that up later on. Now next thing is, let's style this up little bit. Okay, so we have flexible and we have two flexibles. In the flexible we have a bit of option like flex layouts. Let's give this as 1. No change, because we need to go ahead and give this one some value for this flex as well. Let's just say a random number 3. Yeah, we need one more move. That looks better. Okay, so, and we need to fit that flex fit, a tight fit. Right, so this one is pretty much done. Our switch is done, but the only thing is, it says owner of this probably must not be null. We need to set a state for the switch, which we will do it later on. But now next thing is, we need to finish that calculate button. For that we need to come out of the container, row, container, column. The column is here, the widget ends here, so we need to start over here. Add a flexible widget, so the child will be our flat button. These widgets are readily available in the Flutter document. So if you go to the widgets catalog and then the material components, you can pretty much get everything. So the flat button documentation is here, so you can, literally you have plethora of options here you can choose from, and you can go for a raised button, or you can create your custom buttons, things like that. So I'm just sticking with flat button with a child of text that says calculate, and then I need a color, right? So color is colors dot red accent, and a text color of colors dot white. Okay, let's not add too many things and just see what are the changes we have. Okay, looks pretty flat and no background color, which is a sad thing. Let's add some padding and see if that works. It's only because I want to specifically give the changes to top, right, bottom, left. So the top will take up a 10 0, bottom will take up 10 0, and then left with 24, and again right with 24. So let's just see if there makes any changes. Okay, we need to do a hot reload. Oh, I think we need to mention the flex fit. What have I done wrong? On press is required. Yes, I'm such a dumb. Print calculate dot. Let's just see if that makes me. Yes, we got it. So once you click on it, press on it in the mobile terms, you will get the result. Okay, so that's what we need. Our calculate button is ready, and then next thing is we need the result widget. So the result widget will be coming up as another children of a column. So if you notice, yes, after the calculation is done, it's again inside our column widget. Okay, so this will have a container, with a child of course. We will be having a column again, in a column. I think it's not necessary, but let's just go with it. The first column will have, the first widget in a column will have a text field. Your monthly EMI is, and then the next one is, hang on a second, the column, I made a mistake, children, oh my, children. Okay, so now that looks good. Let's do a quick test. Okay, good. And you need the result to be shown. That one will be a container. In that container you will have a child. Every widget takes a child or children, which is not getting into my head properly. And then our result, let's just say our result will be some number of zeros for now. Yes, we are getting it. We need to style that up a little bit, which is we need to style this text to be like this. So we have our text, we need to style text of style property of text style, and then font size of 18.0, font size, font weight dot bold. Let's just quickly look. Good, really good, at least for me. Style text again the same thing, and just copy and paste. I think I made a mistake again. It should be big, so let's just go with 48. Yes, let's go with 50, round figure. That's a bit better. And we need, yeah, there's a bit of gap. What shall we do? We just go to the main container and then margin. Let's apply some margin of edge insets. Only on the top side we need, so only top 40. I think that's pretty much an error. Okay, bingo. So we got what we need, pretty much. Looks like what we desired for, right? And then to make this bit modular, what shall we do? We can move this somewhere else. That's correct. So let's just copy this container up to the widget, and then let's call this as widget EMI results widget EMI result, just in case. And then we should return this container. No, return this with a, need to format this. We format, let's just format document. Okay, fair enough. But what we need, we moved this code into a separate widget method, and we need to call that up here, which is EMI results widget, and then it asks for an EMI results. For now, let's just say 0 0. Hot restart looks fine. Okay, so next thing is we need to work on the switch, right? For before that, we need to apply some variables first. So we need a list tenure types. I've done this in Ionic and other Angular apps, so I'm pretty much kind of got in my head. So months, years. So this is just a bare minimum. Your approach might be different. So this is just to get you started with the Flutter. So by default, our tenure type is years and a string with EMI result. Okay, so the EMI result is an empty string for now. Let's copy this part and then paste it over here. Let's do a hot restart and then see it works. Now the thing is, if your result is empty, you shouldn't be showing your monthly EMI. You shouldn't be showing this part, okay, if your result is empty. So we need to add a condition. To do that, we can write something here to show the logic. Let's just format this a little bit. Okay, that's enough. We will have a can show as true as a start, and then we will have a string that takes up EMI result equals EMI result. Okay, so what we will do is this EMI result should be showing here. That's the thing. So that's the only thing that will that holds the result. So whatever result you get, it will be showing up here. But if that's nothing, we need to hide it, hide the entire section of EMI result widget. So if EMI result dot length, right, if that's a 0, sorry, if that's greater than 0, we will have a can show of true. Wait a second, there's something a mess here. I think it should be false first, and then you will be showing true later on. In the return statement, in the child, actually you can have can show, then show this, or else this is your column, right? Go to the column and then show an empty container. I'm not sure if this works. Let's do a hot reload. It works, yeah. And okay, we need to work on the switch now. So the switch here doesn't have any actions, so we need to hotwire something here. We need to define a variable called, what's that variable we call that? A bool with switch value that says true. Okay, green squiggly line means we are yet to use that. So the switch is here, and we can set that to underscore switch value. I think this is a more generic name. It should be like tenure switch or switch tenure, so that way it will make sense. And it has an on change method, so when you change it, you will be having some changes in your, you can hook it up to your, yes, now the default value is true, so it comes up as true. And when you do it, okay, so when you click on it, it says false. I think the switch is changed, but the screen, it didn't render this switch widget. We need to, on a stateful widget, okay, ours is a stateful widget. Whenever there is a change, we need to tell the Flutter that the change has happened. So to do that, we can give it as set state. It comes up with this predefined method, wherein you can set the state of your widget or screen. So switch value will be a value that Flutter, when there is a change, happens. Okay, and let's just close this up. Let's do a hot reload. There you are. So when you tap on it, you get the value there. And we need to set the value to our tenure type. So if the value is true, then our tenure type is underscore tenure types of one. What is that? If the value is true, then it will be year. If the value is false, then it will be in month. All right, so does this work? Let's do a hot restart. Stop. Damn, this works nice. Okay, so next thing is we need to handle a calculation. So before that, we need to tell our text elements, we need to attach something to our text element, which is done by final text editing controller. And then let's define a variable called principal amount. Principal amount equals text editing controller. Okay, so same thing for the rest of the items. underscore interest rate underscore tenure. Okay, so we need to hook this up to the text field over here. So down here the text field offers one more attachment called controller. Just add this principal amount to the controller, you're done. And then let me talk that later. Controller, this is interest rate, and same for our tenure. Controller underscore tenure, right? So that's pretty much. Let's check if there is any error in our app. Looks like it works. And now let's give something to our calculate button. Where's the calculate button? It's right there, on pressed event. Okay, so we can rewrite that into something else called handle calculation. Red squiggly lines, undefined name. So we need to define something here. Let's define that. It takes a void and then handle calculation method. It needs, okay, firstly we need to print if anything comes up. Handle calculation. Let's hot restart, hot reload, restart, reload. Okay, it works. Now let's remove that, we don't need it. Okay, this is the toughest part. We need to do some calculation, which I really hate, but let's give some value. A dry run EMI calc with some numbers 1 2 3 4 5, and then set our state to see if anything renders. Cool, it works. So yeah, let's build based on this. Now amortization, right? So this is the name of the monthly EMI that you're going to pay, and it has a formula. If you just Google it, you will get most of the information over there. Okay, so amortization takes up which is a payment periods. Okay, so N is the tenure that will be taken, and this one decides, the switch decides whether it's going to be a monthly or yearly. Something's wrong. Okay, let's just stop there. Fix our switch. It's not showing up the changes here. So for that, let's go over here, switch value, and replace this. Replace that into, oh my god, tenure. Okay, it should be tenure type. Why? It's a tenure type. Hot reload it. Yeah, it works. So let's move on to our calculation part. It works. So let me remove the comment. Okay, the most tricky part is this. Now, before adding anything up in the handle calculation, we need to add something called import math. Otherwise, any calculation, we can't use the power of and things like that in our calculator. So double declaration of double a 0 0. We don't need that. And then, okay, this is the final result, amortization amount, and then integer of pay, which is the principal amount. We need to get that from our principal amount text. You might be noticing it. It's not green squiggly. You might notice we are passing it this because we are converting them from a text to an integer. Only then we can do a calculation, and a r which might have a decimal, so that's why we have double, which is a rate of interest int pass again. Just copy paste, it'll be easier. There's a bit of calculation involved here. Interest rate, we need to tell the interest rate is a percentage, so if you're going to give 30 or 8%, you should be convert them into an yearly manner, and then divisible by 100 means it gives out the percentage, the actual percentage for your calculation. Int n, we need to set up, what's that? Yeah, tenure text. So we need to make sure whether you are supplying a monthly or yearly kind of calculation. So for that we need to check our tenure type as using a ternary operator, JavaScript ternary operator like years, and then int parse of tenure text dot text. Oh, why is it showing? Oh god. Tenure dot text multiplied by 12. Okay, so we have to take n as a monthly. For the calculation, we need to take n as monthly. So if you're supplying a year, say for example 1 year or 2 years, you should multiply that year with 12 so that you get a monthly number. So once that's done, and get to the other part, if that's not a year, we just give it as a months. Okay, so we have a number. Okay, the difficult part is EMI, getting the amortization amount. I have the calculation set up ready, so I'll just, before that, let me show you in the browser. There you are. It's kind of complicated. So we need to arrive this formula. So this is the formula that we are going to type in. Let's go ahead and do that. Sounds complicated, right? A equals r, which is our rate of interest, and then we need to power that r of 1 plus r. This is not me, this is purely the formula. Okay, and then divide by. Okay, so we have our amortization, which is, this doesn't take, what is it? A value of type double can't be assigned to a variable string. Okay, we are assigning a typecast here. So what do? We need to just give a dot and see what else available. ToString is available. ToString hot restart and see. Let's give some value of tab, and then interest rate of 30%, and then 1 year. Cool, we got the result, but we don't like the decimal. So what else available here? To string as fixed fraction digits. We just say 2 because money, it'll be just in 2 decimal fraction, right? And do a hot restart, give the same amount, and a 30%, and 1. Nice, we got there. That's your monthly EMI you need to pay if you're going to loan an amount of 1 lakh. So one more thing we need to do, we forgot to apply the keyboard. So when you click on it and go to the hardware, just Control K, you will see all sorts of you will see the alphabets which we need to restrict. Okay, for that we need to apply a decoration for our text field, which is a keyboard type. Keyboard type, that could be text input type dot number. For now, that's enough. Do an auto restart. Okay, so click on it. See, there you are. You will get only the numbers in your keypad. Same way, we just copy paste this pattern to rest of our text fields, even for the tenure, and do a hot restart. You got it. Right, so pretty much done. It's pretty much, so we have some random numbers and then some percentage and then some 2 years of your tenure. There you have it. You need to pay your monthly installment like this. So I have not included a form validation, like if you enter some more digits you need to validate things like that. I have not covered those areas because this is primarily building a simple EMI calculator, but you have a lot of calculation based on EMIs, but this is fair enough to get you started with Flutter. Session helped you a bit to get you started on Flutter. I'll be happy if you can comment down your suggestions, or if you have any other approach to build an app. I will be really happy and really glad. So if you need a suggestion for any other videos on Flutter, please write down in your comment and subscribe to my channel. That will be helpful and motivate me to do further videos for Flutter as well as in Angular. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye bye.